All right, ready for another deep dive? It's philosopher versus philosopher time again.
Round 3.
Round 3, you got it. And we've got some heavy hitters this time.
Oh, yeah, some big names.
You know how this works by now? Two thinkers, different ideas, see where they clash.
Right, and seeing how those clashes can be productive.
This is what makes philosophy fun, right?
Absolutely. Finding those points of tension, that's where things get interesting.
Today it's Osho and Acharya Prashant. Gonna see what they have to say.
Both super influential, but man, their approach is so different.
Titan day sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, total opposites on some pretty fundamental things.
But that's where we're here. We're gonna tackle God, love, enlightenment,
Yeah.
the big stuff.
The core of human experience, that's what we're diving into.
You won't want to miss this, trust me. And while you're at it, hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our future deep dives.
And definitely leave a comment after the episode. Let us know what you think about this philosophical showdown.
All right, let's kick things off with the ultimate head scratcher.
Okay, lay it on me.
Osho, he comes out swinging, says, God is not a solution, but a problem.
Whoa, right.
Yeah, strong words for sure. That's Osho for you. Direct, challenging the basics.
He really takes aim at traditional religious thinking,
Yeah.
The whole idea of God as creator.
Doesn't really fit with what we know about evolution. That's his point. Like,
Yeah.
if God's creation was perfect, why is it constantly changing?
Right. He even jokes that creation must have happened on April Fool's Day.
Yeah, classic Osho, using humor to make a serious point.
But he's not just trying to be provocative. There's a deeper message here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He wants us to ditch this crutch of relying on some higher power, take responsibility for ourselves and the world around us.
No more passing the buck, huh?
No more buck passing. It's all on us.
It's kind of terrifying, but also liberating in a way. If there's no God to solve our problems, then we have the power to create our own solutions.
Right. It's a call to action, to step into our full potential as human beings. He even uses this image, flush God down the toilet. Okay, that's definitely a memorable image. But what does he actually mean by that? Is he saying we should abandon spirituality altogether?
Not necessarily. It's more about letting go of a limited image of God, one that maybe holds us back. He wants us to become the creators, not just the created.
Okay, so it's about empowering ourselves, taking ownership. Interesting. Now, Acharya Prashant, he's got a whole different take on God. He sees God as the destination of all human desires.
Yeah, the ultimate goal, the thing we're all searching for, even if we don't realize it.
Everything we do, from chasing success to seeking love, it's all a misplaced spiritual longing, according to him.
Yeah, like we're searching for fulfillment in the wrong places.
He even says a wild night at the disco is Krishna gone wrong. What do you make of that?
Haha, right. Well, Krishna represents that pure joy, playfulness, even ecstasy, right? So he's saying that even when we seek pleasure in the material world.
What we really crave is that deeper connection, something more meaningful.
Exactly, that thirst for God, for completeness, it's woven into who we are.
So even a night out can be a spiritual quest in disguise, huh?
In a way, yeah, we're always seeking that connection, even if we don't know it.
That's a pretty stark contrast to Osho, right? One says God is a problem, get rid of him, and the other says God is what we're ultimately searching for in everything we do.
Right. Two very different starting points, but both incredibly thought-provoking. It makes you question your own assumptions, doesn't it?
Definitely. It's like, is God something to be discarded so we can embrace our full human potential? Or is God the very thing we're seeking in everything we do?
Big questions, man. Big questions. And that's what makes this exploration so fascinating.
Stretching my brain already. All right, let's move on to another biggie. Love. Osho, he uses this beautiful analogy of a boy and a tree to explain his view.
Oh, yeah, classic Osho. He loves his analogies.
The tree, it represents unconditional love, right?
Right.
And it gives freely to this boy throughout his life, shade, fruit, even its branches for shelter.
And in the end, the tree even sacrifices itself so the boy can build a boat and pursue his dreams.
Wow, talk about selfless giving. But it makes you wonder about the boy's role in all this. Is he just passively receiving the tree's love?
Good question. And this gets to Osho's distinction between love and ego. The tree, it embodies love, finds joy in giving without expecting anything back. But the boy, well, he's driven by his ego, focused on fulfilling his own needs.
So the tree is pure love, and the boy represents that ego-driven desire to just take.
Exactly. Osho puts it like this. Love gives unconditionally, while ego only takes. It makes you think about how our own egos can sometimes get in the way of experiencing real love.
Yeah, when we're focused on what we can get rather than what we can give, right?
Right. Osho's analogy really challenges us to reflect on that.
So we have Osho's tree of love, constantly giving, nurturing. Now, what about Acharya Prashant? What's his take on love?
Well, he really emphasizes the transformative power of love, its ability to change even the hardest hearts.
He uses the movie 777, Charlie, as an example, right?
Right. It's a story about a stray dog. Pure, unconditional love completely transforms this cynical, closed-off man.
Haven't seen it, but I've heard it's a tearjerker for sure.
Oh, it gets you right in the feels. But Acharya Prashant uses it to illustrate this deeper point. Love can break down walls, heal old wounds, awaken us to a different way of seeing the world.
It's not just about finding love, but about finding the right kind of love, the kind that truly nourishes us.
Exactly, the kind that sets us free rather than binds us. And for Acharya Prashant, the key to finding that kind of love is breaking free from our ego's need to control everything.
So again, we see the ego as an obstacle to love, just like Osho was saying.
Fascinating, right? Despite their different approaches, they both seem to agree on that. The ego can really mess things up when it comes to love.
Two different perspectives, but maybe pointing to a similar truth. This is why I love these philosophical face-offs.
Me too. It's like watching a grand intellectual chess match unfold.
Totally. Each player with their unique moves, but ultimately aiming for the same goal. Understanding the human experience.
And speaking of goals, we've got one more big one to tackle: enlightenment. But that's a conversation for part 2 of our deep dive. Stay tuned. Back again for more philosophical sparring. Still going strong with Osho and Acharya Prashant, two thinkers who aren't afraid to shake things up.
Round 2, here we go. And this time we're taking on enlightenment. But first, a quick recap, just to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, good idea. Kind of ground ourselves before we jump back into the ring.
We started with a bang, Osho telling us to flush God down the toilet.
Embrace human responsibility, right?
Exactly. Acharya Prashant, on the other hand, he sees God as the hidden object of all our desires.
That ultimate fulfillment we're all chasing after.
Remember his take on a wild night at the disco? Krishna gone wrong.
Yeah. Even in our hedonism, there's a spiritual longing.
Then we moved on to love, Osho, with his tree and boy analogy.
Beautiful, right? Selfless giving versus that ego-driven need to take.
Acharya Prashant, he focused on love's transformative power.
Breaking down barriers, opening hearts, even changing cynics.
And both of them, both Osho and Acharya Prashant, warning us about how the ego can mess up love.
Yeah, that need to control, to possess, it gets in the way of true connection.
So that brings us to enlightenment. Osho, straight to the point as always, says it's realizing that everything is already perfect.
Just let go of the striving, embrace the now.
It sounds simple enough, but can it really be that easy? Just flip a switch and bam, enlightened.
Well, Osho's point is that we make things way more complicated than they need to be. Chasing some future state of perfection when everything we need is already here.
But is it really just about being, not doing? I mean, that goes against everything our culture tells us, right?
It's a radical shift in perspective, for sure. And Osho emphasizes that enlightenment isn't about gaining special powers or having some mystical experience. It's about accepting what is, letting go of that constant need to fix things.
So radical acceptance, huh?
Radical acceptance.
What about Acharya Prashant, though? How does he see this whole enlightenment thing?
Well, while Osho might focus on that effortless surrender, Acharya Prashant stresses the importance of self-awareness, inner work. You got to dismantle those false structures of the ego.
The anxieties, the fears, all the stuff that keeps us trapped in our own heads.
Exactly. For him, enlightenment is a process. It's active. You're peeling back layers, getting to that clear vision of reality.
So not just accepting things as they are, but actively transforming yourself.
That's the key difference. For Acharya Prashant, enlightenment isn't some passive state of bliss. It's about constantly questioning, refining, purifying.
Sounds like hard work.
What?
But could both approaches be valid in their own way? Maybe Osho's radical acceptance sets the stage for the deeper work that Acharya Prashant talks about.
Interesting idea. Maybe you need that surrender first, that letting go, to create the space for real transformation.
Like Osho clears the ground, and Acharya Prashant gives you the tools to build something new.
Great analogy. That's what's so cool about exploring these different perspectives. They challenge us, expand our understanding.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Remember Osho's whole flush God down the toilet, take responsibility thing?
Become the masters of our own destiny.
Right. But Acharya Prashant, he says that this very desire to control our lives, that's actually an ego trap.
Seems counterintuitive, right? But he's saying that striving for control, that can be the source of a lot of our suffering, trying to force things to go our way, getting frustrated when they don't.
So what, just give up and let life happen to us? Doesn't sound very empowering.
No, it's not about passivity. It's a different kind of empowerment. Surrendering to a higher purpose, aligning ourselves with something bigger.
Less about controlling, more about flowing with it, huh?
That's the idea. And this is where Osho and Acharya Prashant start to connect in a really fascinating way. Osho pushes for that direct, hands-on responsibility.
Take charge, no more excuses.
But then Acharya Prashant comes in and says, hey, that desire to control, that's just the ego playing tricks. True freedom comes from letting go.
Like two sides of the same coin almost.
Right, you need both, that initial step into responsibility, but then the deeper understanding that ultimately we're not the ones calling all the shots.
It's like they're both pointing us towards the same destination, freedom, enlightenment, but they're suggesting different routes.
And that's the beauty of this journey, isn't it? It's not about finding the one right answer, it's about exploring, expanding our understanding.
Like we're putting together this giant puzzle, each philosopher offering us a different piece.
Exactly. And as we move on to part 3, we'll see how those pieces start to fit together, revealing a bigger picture of what it means to really wake up to life. Stay tuned.
All right, deep divers, final round. It's all come down to this. Osho versus Acharya Prashant.
The clash of the titans. But can we find some common ground between these two? That's what we're here to find out.
It's been wild, right? From flushing God down the toilet to Krishna at the disco. What a ride.
Yeah, talk about different perspectives. But hey, that's philosophy for you. Keeps us on our toes.
So, God, love, and now enlightenment. Osho says it's just realizing that everything's perfect as it is.
Embrace the now. No more striving. Just be.
Sounds amazing in theory, but is it really that simple?
Well, Osho would say we make it complicated, always chasing after something when what we need is right here.
But Acharya Prashant, he talks about this inner work, right? Dismantling the ego, confronting our fears and anxieties.
Yeah, he's all about self-awareness, peeling back those layers to see reality clearly.
So we have Osho saying, just accept everything, and Acharya Prashant saying, no, you got to transform yourself.
Two very different approaches, but maybe they're not mutually exclusive. Maybe they actually work together.
Like maybe you need Osho's radical acceptance first to create the space for Acharya Prashant's deeper work.
That's an interesting thought. Like Osho clears the path, and then Acharya Prashant gives you the map to follow.
I like that. But what about responsibility? Osho's big on that, remember? Taking charge of our lives.
Yeah, no more relying on God, no more excuses. We're the creators of our own destiny.
But then Acharya Prashant says that trying to control everything, that's an ego trap.
That's where the suffering comes from, he says. We got to surrender to something bigger than ourselves.
So Osho says take responsibility, and Acharya Prashant says let go of control. It's like a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah, but maybe that's the key, embracing the paradox. Maybe we need both, that sense of agency and the willingness to surrender.
Find that sweet spot between effort and grace.
Exactly. And that's what I think both Osho and Acharya Prashant are pointing us toward, in their own ways, that state of freedom, love, enlightenment, where the ego doesn't get in the way anymore.
So what does this all mean for us, the listeners? How do we actually apply these big ideas to our lives?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all answer. Life's messy, it's full of contradictions.
Yeah, no easy solutions, but maybe that's okay.
Absolutely. Embrace the messiness, the paradox, hold those seemingly opposing truths together, responsibility and surrender, acceptance and transformation. See what happens.
Find that balance. It's a journey, right?
Always a journey. And I think Osho and Acharya Prashant, they're both offering us valuable insights along the way.
So, deep divers, what do you think? What resonated with you? What challenged your thinking? Hit us up in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going.
And if you enjoyed this philosophical showdown, make sure you subscribe for more deep dives. We're always exploring new ideas, new perspectives.
Keep those minds open and those hearts burning. See you next time.